Hello, dear viewers of Turkish series stars. So glad you're here. Make sure you're subscribed and tap that like button, because what happened last night has the entire entertainment world buzzing. Navruz's former co-star made a surprise appearance at the launch event for Alina's brand new series, and the entire venue froze for a heartbeat. No one saw it coming, and within minutes whispers became waves. Are Alina and Alp quietly finding their way back to each other? Let's walk through everything that unfolded, moment by moment. It all began days ago when Alina shared an elegant invitation on her social accounts, teasing the premiere of her new show. Clean typography, minimalist design, a single caption hinting at beginnings, courage, and craft. Fans expected glamour and a packed red carpet, of course. But the idea that Alp would be among the guests? It didn't cross anyone's mind. Their shared history has always hovered between them like a melody people never stop humming, and yet the industry had grown used to the silence. That silence shattered when, just minutes before the program started, Alp arrived in a perfectly tailored black suit. Calm, collected, and strikingly composed, he glided past the flashes with that familiar, understated smile. Reporters surged toward him. In the clamor, he kept his response brief and deliberate. He said he would always stand behind Alina's work, calling her a remarkable artist and someone he respects profoundly. That was it. No dramatics. But in a room saturated with cameras, brevity can be louder than a speech. The clips hit timelines like sparks on dry grass, and the internet lit up in seconds. Photos of Alp on the carpet were posted alongside shots of Alina smiling from the stage under a line of soft lights. Fans flooded the comments with sentimental words, the kind you only write when a story has lived in your head for years. They spoke of feelings that don't fade just because the world moves forward, and of two people whose instincts once dovetailed so naturally that the screen seemed to pulse. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was a collective memory waking up all at once. During the event, those who were there swear they noticed a pattern of fleeting glances. Not the kind you can reduce to politeness. Not the kind you can wave away as coincidence. They didn't sit side by side, but the air between their separate seats felt charged. There's a particular kind of tension you can't manufacture, a current you recognize even when you're trying not to look at it too long. People felt it. Then came a pivotal moment. While addressing the audience about the risks and revelations that come with starting anew, Alina paused, just a breath, and said that sometimes paths diverge so we can return to what matters with clearer eyes. The auditorium responded with a roar of applause. The cameras, of course, swung to Alp. He didn't overplay the moment, he just met it with a small, warm smile that read like a quiet acknowledgement, the kind of reaction that ignites 1,000 interpretations. The clip became the night's signature loop. A source close to Alina confided something that added fuel to the fire. Alp had reportedly insisted on being there that evening. He wanted to stand in that room for her. He wanted to witness her next chapter in person. And that, said the source, is the detail that tells the whole story. You could argue he came to offer support as a colleague, but anyone who remembers their on-screen electricity understands why fans aren't buying the simplest explanation. Hours later, just past midnight, Alp posted a black-and-white backstage shot. Alina captured from behind as she waited in the wings, the soft line of her shoulders, the delicate fall of her hair, the frame holding more feeling than any close-up could. He added a caption that felt like a poem smuggled into a sentence, "When courage meets craft, the work breathes." Immediately, the theories rolled in. Was it a discreet message reaching past the noise? Or was it simply professional admiration written with elegance? Whichever lens you choose, the thread between them looked intact, unbroken, maybe even newly woven. By morning, the press had clustered wherever they thought a quote might tumble out. The microphones found Alina first. She kept her response measured and graceful. Sometimes, she said, a quiet presence speaks louder than a string of declarations. It wasn't a denial. It wasn't confirmation. It was a doorway she neither closed nor fully opened, and the ambiguity gave the story longer legs. Meanwhile, someone from the production team, one of those unsung people who hold events together with tape and timing, mentioned that Alp had remained backstage for much of the night. Not grandstanding, not seeking the spotlight, just nearby, steady. Before the event ended, the two had a few minutes alone. The description was gentle, almost tender. A private exchange. An unguarded pause. The kind of moment you feel rather than see. The whisper going around is that their hands found each other, nothing dramatic, just an old habit resurfacing in a room where everyone else was hurrying. Fans spent the afternoon curating old interviews and behind-the-scenes snippets to remind the world what made this bond so captivating. They revisited quotes where Alp spoke about how Alina lit up a set just by walking onto it, and clips where Alina laughed about how Alp could crack a joke on the hardest day and make the rest of the scene flow. None of it proved anything, but together it painted a portrait of two people who once understood each other so fluently that even silence sounded like a conversation. 2 days after the launch, Alina posted a short video. Just a table, morning light sliding across it, and 2 coffee cups side by side. No faces, no words, no tags. For longtime followers, it echoed an older image Alp had shared years back, one that carried the same gentle composition, a similar hush. Coincidence? Maybe. But coincidences like that don't stop the collective imagination from doing what it does best. Then came the grainy photo. Someone snapped it in the lounge of a small boutique hotel. Soft chairs, low lamps, and the kind of playlist that never interrupts a conversation. The image wasn't crisp, but the outline and posture were hard to miss. The two of them leaned toward each other in the way that says you're not just hearing the other person, you're listening. And the laughter, caught mid-motion, shoulders lifted, suggested a comfort that time hadn't eroded. Plenty will call it speculation, but that image moved through group chats like a secret being passed from hand to hand. Amid all this, Alina's representative offered a restrained statement. She appreciates the love, the support, the enthusiasm, they said. For now, her focus is firmly on her new project, and her private life is not up for discussion. It was the only official line of the day, but it didn't slow the momentum. If anything, it threw the story back to the audience, whose appetite for reading between lines only sharpened. Talk shows turned the moment into a segment. A body language expert went on live television and dissected Alp's demeanor from the premiere's footage, his gaze lingering for a fraction longer than strictly professional, the softened smile, the slight tilt of his head that suggested tenderness rather than mere admiration. The verdict was careful yet clear. There was more than a colleague's applause in those expressions. There were layered feelings and the kind of nostalgia that doesn't arrive unless there's something worth remembering. Fan edits did the rest. Within hours, montages of their past scenes, stitched together with romantic instrumentals and lines that once made viewers ache, were everywhere. People wrote about second chances, about how some chemistry doesn't fade but matures, and how sometimes the story isn't over, it's simply paused until both people are ready to press play again. Then another detail surfaced, precisely the kind of puzzle piece that makes even the skeptical lean in. Word spread that right after the event, Alp had declined 2 major international offers, projects that would have kept him away from Istanbul for months. The reasoning wasn't disclosed, but the timing pushed curiosity into overdrive. Maybe it was a personal decision to stay close to home. Maybe it had nothing to do with Alina at all. And yet, when a story like this gathers steam, timing feels like intention. There's still no official word about a joint project. No scripts announced. No contracts teased. But when the stakes are emotional rather than logistical, confirmation is rarely what keeps an audience hooked. It's the cadence of small gestures. The lines that can be read in more than one way. The pauses in conversation that aren't empty but full of everything you can't quite say out loud. The longer this goes on, the more people are watching for the next sign, however discreet. What do you think their evening was like once the lights dimmed and the crowd thinned? Did they talk about the hard parts with the same honesty that made their work together so compelling? Did they promise to be patient with the parts of life that arrive out of order? Or did they simply sit with a coffee and let the quiet do the work words sometimes can't? That's the magic and the madness of stories like this. They belong to two people living a private life under public eyes, but everyone feels a little invested because we've seen what they can create together, and we've sensed what lingers when the cameras stop. Maybe this is a meeting that reopens a door. Maybe it's a chapter that was always meant to be revisited when both were ready. Or maybe it's a moment of mutual respect that just happens to look like a beginning because we all want new beginnings to believe in. For now, every movement is magnified. A glance can look like a promise, and a caption can sound like a vow. That might be unfair, but it's also the currency of the world they work in. You can be sure of one thing: they understand exactly how closely people are paying attention. And yet, the gentle way they've handled this, no theatrics, no messy statements, suggests a quiet resolve to protect whatever is unfolding. As the premiere glow fades and the schedule settles into routine, watch the small details. Will they show up for each other in professional spaces more openly? Will an interview answer shift from guarded to softly candid? Will there be a new scene, a new project, a new image that crystallizes what everyone is feeling between the lines? The anticipation isn't just about a romance, it's about the hope that art and affection can share the same room without one overpowering the other. So tell me, do you think Alp's appearance was a breadcrumb leading toward reconciliation? Would you want to see them together again, on a set where their craft can braid their energies, or beyond the spotlight, where the only audience is the two of them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more carefully gathered details, more quiet moments decoded, and more stories that make your heart race just a little, don't forget to subscribe to Turkish series stars. Whatever happens next, you'll hear it here, when the story is ready to be told, and maybe even when it's still finding the words.